Carja Curram Fáilte Rove Illa an Seach go Chun Ghuineachán, Fáilte ar le Riv Inadithe Tufa Sinn Fein. You're all very welcome to County Monaghan, especially the many Sinn Fein elected representatives here present, and including the number of mayors and chairs from councils on both sides of the border. We currently hold the chair or mayorships of Donegal, Fermanagh, Monaghan, and indeed the 4 local authorities in County Tyrone, and a whole raft of other positions on both sides of the border across these border counties. And I think that each of these successes is indicative of hard work on the ground by many, many people who are part of what Sinn Féin is, a great, great team. It has been a long and difficult road for Sinn Féin in the 26 counties, since we here in counties Cavan and Monaghan first elected a Sinn Féin TD of the modern era in 1997. And we know we have had our ups and downs, but we have built steadily, we have worked hard on the ground and in the Oireachtas, and we are poised now, I believe, to make further significant gains. And I want to commend here this evening newly elected Chuck the Dála, Pierce Doherty. I want to commend Donegal South West, Sinn Féin, and the party nationally, because the party rode in behind this recent by-election success on what was a massive election effort and an historic victory. The people of Donegal South West have endorsed the Sinn Féin message, and this victory has given a massive boost, and it's very much in evidence in speaking to comrades here this evening before the commencement of this meeting. It is a tremendous boost to each and every one of us individually, not only to Donegal North East and Padraig McLaughlin's prospects in the upcoming general election, but indeed to Sinn Féin nationally, throughout the island of Ireland, but to all those outside our ranks, to all those in this country who believe that there is a better and fairer way than the economic bondage now being imposed on the Irish people by this disgraceful coalition of Fianna Fáil and the Green Party. Some people might say, in the context of the economic treason now being committed by the government and in the midst of this economic crisis, that this is not the time to be talking about Irish unity. But remember, we're in a crisis certainly, but it is not only an economic crisis. It is also a democratic crisis. A government with no mandate and no political authority is trying to bind the Irish people hand and foot for the next 5 years at least, and very likely for many years after that, and to put our children and our grandchildren in hock to international moneylenders at the cost of ripping apart the very fabric of Irish society. People are talking about the basis of democracy being taken away from us. They're saying that the sovereignty and independence for which so many of our people have fought and died is being sold out shamelessly by the Fianna Fáil Green government. And those who are saying that are absolutely right. Why has this happened? People are now very familiar with the reasons for the economic collapse. The greed and the corruption of a golden circle of bankers, speculators, developers and politicians ruined the economy. But there is a deeper reason. That golden circle, and especially the politicians within it, had absolutely no vision for the future of Ireland and its people as a nation. For most of them, Ireland stops at the border. For most of them too, an economy, we'll say, an economy exists not to serve the people, but to reap profits for the few. Last year, they paid lip service to the words of the democratic programme of the first Dáil Éireann. And let's recall some of those words, to quote from the founding fathers and mothers of our republic as declared in Easter Week 1916 and confirmed by the democratically elected representatives of the Irish people as a whole across the island of Ireland in the first Dáil. and they said, "We declare that the nation's sovereignty extends not only to all men and women of the nation, but to all its material possessions, the nation's soil and all its resources, all the wealth and all the wealth-producing processes within the nation. We reaffirm that all right to private property must be subordinated to the public right and welfare. We declare that we desire our country to be ruled in accordance with the principles of liberty, equality and justice for all, which alone can secure permanence of government in the willing adhesion of the people." Carja, 90 years ago, the British government passed the Government of Ireland Act, which was known by Republicans then and since as the Partition Act. It passed its third reading in the House of Commons on the 11th of November 1920 and became law on the 23rd of December of that year. 5 years later, the first Free State government concluded a deal with the British government which purported to make partition permanent after the collapse of the Boundary Commission. Following the Good Friday Agreement, as Lucelita has already indicated, the Government of Ireland Act was repealed and it was replaced with the Northern Ireland Act of 1998. While partition still exists, its legal and constitutional basis has changed. In the House of Commons, one Peter Robinson responded to the new Act as follows: "It is very clear that far from the bills leaving Northern Ireland as an integral part of the United Kingdom, it introduces a transitional state. The bill moves Northern Ireland from its full and rightful place within the United Kingdom out on a limb. It is being pushed towards an all-Ireland state." Unquote. Now, you would not hear the same Peter Robinson now as First Minister saying this, but make no mistake about it, Peter, what you said is absolutely true. What we have is a transitional state. Politics in the 6 counties has been transformed, and the 6-county state can continue to exist only in the context of a partnership and power-sharing government which is inextricably linked to all Ireland institutions. We as Republicans, therefore, have the task of completing the transition, and that's what we have been entrusted to do. And to do so, we have to place the issue of Irish unity onto the political agenda, especially here in the 26 counties. And how do we do that? Well, I believe we can only do it in the context of the debate about what type of Ireland will emerge from the current crisis. Will it be a partitioned Ireland? Will it be an Ireland where economic control of one part resides in Westminster and of the greater part residing in the European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund? Or will it be a different Ireland? A fairer society, a more sustainable economy, and a truly independent nation? The only republic, Carja, worth struggling for is one that embraces all of our people and all of our island, a republic that cherishes all the children of the nation equally. I have a 9-year-old son. In 10 years' time, Oren will be 19, 100 years after the partition of our country. If he and his generation are to have the chance as adults to build and live in a better Ireland, then we owe it to them to lay the foundations of that better Ireland now. And that is the weight and responsibility that rests on each and every one of our shoulders. And partition is, make no mistake about it, one of the greatest obstacles that can and must be removed if our country is indeed to be rebuilt. Here in the border counties, we have experience over generations of the injustice of partition, not in an abstract way, but as it has affected people in their daily lives, and people throughout this room can give testimony to that. Social and economic distortion and disruption is a daily reality. This region has been disgracefully neglected by successive governments in this state. But living in this region, we also know the potential for All-Ireland development and the benefit of pooling our resources on this small island. One example is the health system, and I have recently once again challenged both the Taoiseach Brian Cowan and the Health Minister Mary Harney over their agreeing to the suppression of a joint study on the potential for All-Ireland cooperation in the provision of health services. This would bring real benefits to people across Ireland and in every community. The short-sightedness and the political wrong-headedness of the Ministers for Health in Belfast and Dublin means that this report and its recommendations are gathering dust on a shelf. And what is true of health is also true of education, agriculture, manufacturing industry, infrastructural development. The potential is huge, but still largely untapped. This All-Ireland vision, this commitment to a united Republic of Equals, is what distinguishes Sinn Féin from all other political parties. But we have, and we need to remind ourselves of this, we have no monopoly on the issue of Irish unity. It is a key issue for all the Irish people and should be a priority for all in Irish politics. We are entering a period of political flux and political change. Fianna Fáil is likely to suffer the worst general election defeat in its history. There is a national debate, on the meaning of national freedom and sovereignty. All this offers huge opportunities for Sinn Féin and for all who advocate Irish unity and independence. We need to keep before us and before the public in the forthcoming general election our vision of a better Ireland, as well as our sound, logical arguments that Irish unity is essential to ensure true national freedom and the sovereignty of our people. A Carja is é sin ar guspór, Caolain obair le déanamh agus féidir ling dul chun cinn mór a dhéanamh. A Carja ag deire, chuaifí mé a rá, a raigling le céile. Together let us go forward, knowing that only together, in a unified republican endeavour, as we have always struggled in the past, let us go forward in a united, concerted effort to struggle for the final push to achieve the republic for which so many of our friends and comrades have given the ultimate sacrifice. Gura míle maith go